For those of you that don't know, I was a police officer. I was a police officer when I was 18. In the UK, you generally school till you're 18. Mm-hmm. And then normally people take a year off or go to university or they go to work.
Discovery year, right? Discovery year?
It's called a gap year.
Gap year,
Is that right?
But you're going to go learn about yourself or the world or something.
You find yourself.
Right.
Right. A lot of these kids, basically, if you're a kid that has wealthy parents, you go and find yourself in Tibet.
Backpack through Europe.
Exactly. Or if you're a kid from my side of the fence, you go to work.
Right.
So I worked in kitchens and scrubbed pots and peeled potatoes, and I did all the kind of glorious stuff that you do. And then I found myself in my year off. I walked into I was in the high street, and I walked into a travel agent's, and I said, look, I just want to go somewhere for a few weeks. Where I don't care where.
Get away.
Just I want to go somewhere. And I landed in Jerusalem 2 days later. And I spent a month in Egypt. Not in Egypt, in Israel,
wow.
Sorry. I spent a month in
so
Israel.
You had a long walk.
On a kibbutz. And I'm not Jewish. I just felt drawn there.
Yes.
And I spent a kind of a month there.
It's a holy place regardless.
It's an incredible place. And then I didn't tell my parents, but I joined the police. And it takes about 4 or 5 months to go through the police process. And you don't really know until you've gone through it.
You weren't in the UK when you were a cop? For whatever reason, I assumed.
I just went through the process. I went through the interview stages. I joined the police service.
In Israel?
No, in the UK.
Oh, okay. See, okay.
When you got back?
We both went there for a second.
Guys,
okay.
have you been drinking?
Something's up.
I joined the police service when I was 18 and a half.
But you went to Jerusalem.
So I took 6 months off.
Yes.
Between sort of 18 and 18 and a half. And I just found myself doing a bit of traveling. I went to Israel for a month.
He's like, I'll give it to you again.
Milked cows on a kibbutz. Did a bit of touring. Did a lot of working. I earned, some pocket money working in kitchens, and I was fixing cars always. So I was earning a bit of cash on the side. And then I just joined the police.
Wow.
And I remember I told my parents the day before I went to police college, tomorrow morning I am going to Coventry for 8 weeks, residential, because I'm now a policeman.
How do they take that news?
They were fine about it, actually.
Really?
They really were, yeah. I've got a few police members in the family. So.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
So wouldn't it be the strangest thing in the world?
Tomorrow.
I'm going tomorrow, guys.
You're crazy.
So, okay, but all right. Is there any specific experience? I'm thinking with one that you sent me that you had been stabbed. Can I show this picture, this headline?
I have been stabbed. It's awful.
Award for stabbed face.
Yeah, great.
This is you. This is you.
Yeah, look how young I was. Yeah, so I was 18 and a half when I joined.
Holy snot.
I've been very, very lucky. I look back at my police career. I did 6 years in the police service, and I look back at my police career with, first of all, great pride. I'm really incredibly proud of being a very young, almost lost person. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I joined the police. And being a police officer has absolutely shaped who I am today. 100%. It's made me realize how lucky I am, how privileged I am. It's made me meet and see the worst side of humanity. Some of the incidents I went to, I look back now and it's almost like it never happened. Like this is now a second life for me. And when I think about, blimey, I turned up at, I went to the Potters Bar rail crash, huge disaster for our country. I spent 3 days in a safe house with John Duffy, the railway murderer, a serial killer, playing poker and watching TV and eating KFC. And, we're talking about a proper psychopath. I've been to murders and I've been stabbed myself. So I've arrested and dealt with real high profile criminals. And I've just seen the worst of people, turning up at horrendous, child issues and domestic violence and this stuff that just happens.
Yeah.
And when I left in my mid-20s, it really gave me a sense of perspective and it really grounded me, and it actually made me realize when I was in mid-20s that I just wanted to do something I loved, and I always loved cars. So what the police did is it gave me, first of all, the courage, and it actually gave me the push over the edge to go and do something myself. And I think I now look back, and we talk about that stabbing incident, I now look back and I realize that that's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Being stabbed?
Yes.
That's kind of where I was. Where'd
you go?
How bad was the stabbing? Did you go somewhere? Did you have a near-death type of thing? Or was it just,
no.
oh my goodness, this gave me a semblance of this is all temporary and I have a different appreciation now? Or
I guess it's a wider issue than that. I've had, over my especially through my sort of late teens, early 20s, I had an awful lot of injuries. So I lost some of my sight in my right eye. I broke my skull and cheek. I've had my nose straightened 4 times
man,
because
did they
it's
put
been
you back together well?
broken. I have metal in my hand.
Smokes.
So I've been hurt and I've been injured.
And made it through?
I guess it's strange because I don't want to go too deep.
No, but you have a different perspective. I'm just trying to wonder if that perspective shift then made you spiritual, because you said you weren't in the beginning.
You're a different kind of guy.
Yeah, or how about what did it?
Absolutely, I'm a different type. Do you know what? I didn't realize that I didn't realize I was spiritual till probably only 4 or 5 years ago.
Same here.
And it's only about 4 or 5 years ago that I suddenly went, oh, actually, that happened. And that happened. And then all
backwards.
These kind of stories started building up. And there was a particular incident when I was 23 that sticks with me now, which we're not going to talk about because it's incredibly personal.
Okay. But something happened.
Something happened when I was 23 that you just can't. And I'm an analytical person. Everything for me is about process. You know, you've seen me on the show. I am about building, and this goes after this, and 2, 3, 4, 5 to reach the end. And
there's a reason behind all of it.
And for the last almost 20 years, there is still no reason how that happened.
Wow. This thing,
which we're not going to talk about.
No, it's okay. The fact that it happened at 23, I mean, 23 is a number for some people. So, I mean, you know what I mean? All these things.
True, yeah.
I had weird things at 23, too. It's a weird number. I get it.
Yeah, it's.
I feel like it.
So whatever that was, we'll say that was the tipping point.
But no, I never realised then.
Oh, wow.
Well, you don't, do you?
No.
You just think, and when you're younger, you kind of, you just sort of, you fly by the seat of your pants, don't you? You know,
There's no other way to do it.
You don't
have the information yet, so you're doing whatever you think is right.
So I was just and in England, policing's very different. So I policed when I started. I policed a very rural area, a place called Bishop Stortford, very affluent, very rural, and a lot. I would say 3/4 of my police career for those 2 years in Bishop Stortford, I was on my own. So everybody thinks that there's hundreds of police officers running around in teams of 5 or 6. No, you know, I ran a squad car as an individual over a space the size of LA, and I would turn up on my own and have to talk my way out of some hairy situations. And I remember my first murder. I remember my first hanging. I remember my first death. I remember my first kidnapping. You know,
that's crazy. You didn't have a partner?
No.
Were you always? Did you already have discipline? Were you already a disciplined person before becoming a cop?
It's funny. I'm a huge believer in sports, so I've always played sports at a high level. I've always been in team games, so I've always found that you naturally have a sense of discipline if you're a sports person.
Yeah, I agree.
And so throughout my whole youth and my schooling, I was always prolific at playing all different types of sports. So I think naturally sports gives you a discipline anyway. And when you join the police service, it is a very disciplined environment. There is a rank structure. You have to work shifts. There is a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape. So I think if you're not, you don't succeed. You leave very quickly.
Wow, it's so interesting. You are very fascinating, and we haven't even gotten to what you do for a living.
No, we haven't. We've talked about being stabbed.
Well, I don't know. That's interesting to me. And you did send the headline, so I figured it was okay.
I know it's totally fine. I mean, I see my police career is clearly in 2 defined halves, if you like. I joined the police as a police constable, and I dealt with general police issues, responding to 999 calls, and seeing and doing some really crazy stuff that I look back on and I think, oh my God, did I actually do that? Was I there? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then when I went armed. Being armed in the UK is very, very different.
Oh, I didn't even know they did that.
They don't.
Oh, okay.
So
my picture, I'm very old school. So in my mind, somebody says, oh, well, I picture the Bobby twirling the nightstick, whistling alone at night, walking down an empty street looking for
White
Jack the
gloves,
Ripper.
big helmet.
Yeah, you got it. And I know it's not accurate.
I
know it's not accurate, but that's the cartoon my mind draws.
Do you know what the problem is Mary Poppins has ruined it for the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't realise, and there is an element of that, and that's what's really nice. And people, the big difference between being a resident in the US and a resident in the UK is one's a police force, US, and one's a police service.
Interesting.
And absolutely, the police in the UK police with consent. The police in the US police by a police force.
Yes.
And, in the UK, you stop 100 cars, 99 of them will be annoyed, but they won't actually be aggrieved. And actually, deep down, they're thinking, do you know what, secretly, that's quite nice, because if my car was stolen, I'd get it back.
Right.
Whereas in the US, I feel that there's a very sort of aggressive way of policing. But, it's the gun culture here is very different.
I was going to say the people are different. Yeah, the culture's different.
Yeah, it's very, very different. It would be very difficult for me to police in the US, I'd imagine.